Show. Here's CJ. Welcome back, 9:18. Little bit of that commercial break. I'm sorry, guys. That felt like a day and a half. Ooh. Nick, how are we doing today, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, man?
Oh, hanging in there. We also got Vince on the line, and I didn't think about this. This is the first time I've done Zoom where I'm not on. Well, it's normally supposed to be. We'll see how this goes. Vince, how are we doing today, bud?
Good. How are you?
Oh man, we're hanging in there, and I'm just having Nick on the line here now, or in the studio. And Little Victory, fill me in. You guys just released a single, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, a brand new single, "Asleep at the Wheel" with Habor, and it's been a heck of a ride.
Really cool. And like I said, Nick is in studio with me. And Nick, working with groups like this over in Alton, this got to be big for the area, and just a really great way to kind of highlight Alton's placement on the music map and start to build from it too.
Sure. One of the things that Vince and I and his lovely wife Erica first kind of connected on was just, we're just Illinois,
Yeah.
like we're that was one of the things that we had in common. It's like, we're both from Illinois, and I kind of knew, the community and the team that we had here in Alton and beyond. And I was like, man, I think we can provide really great resources to artists. And so I found Little Victory on Instagram, or they found me, vice versa, but we just kind of flirted for a while on Instagram. And I was just so enamored by their sound. I don't mean this to be offensive to Little Victory at all, but I was like, how do they not have more listeners? How are more people not hip to this?
That. Yeah.
And that was out of a place of like honor. I was like, man, I want this band to be heard. And so we were very clear of like, hey, I can't promise you the world here, but what we can do is just as best I can is give you resources, to be successful. And it's a total work in progress. Like it's nothing is concrete, but Vince and Erica, came down to Alton several months ago and just sort of, we really connected and decided to kind of pursue this together. And so I've got a recording studio here at my house, and we tracked a single a few weeks ago, and it came out 2 weeks ago or so. And golly, all of my friends are hip to it. It's just cool, now. We have this great Chicagoland connection,
right,
as well as what we're doing here in Alton, and so it's kind of the more branches that we can spread, the more just the greater capacity people have.
Well, and 100%. And Vince, as we bring you back on the screen here, take me through just coming down to Alton and what that recording session was like. Did it feel pretty good right then and there?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, sorry, Erica couldn't be here. She's taking care of our 2-year-old, so she's kind of in the thick of it right now.
That's fair.
Yeah, we're, I think the most important thing, we look for people that want to build a team and have a good relationship with our music and our band. And I think the coolest thing so far was completely not being aware of a town in Illinois, and then showing up there and going, where has this been? Like, where has this community been? And what Nick is doing out in Alton is really a testament to, I think, where the music is going to go in Alton. And I think, it's going to become another hub for great musicians to be at and a place to see live music.
Well, your event's 100% right. Just to kind of double down on that, is I've told people for the last year and a half is that we're kind of in the early stages of a for real renaissance. I mean, and Nick, feel free to jump in on this. I mean, all across the board, from artists to crafting to just even being just a unique vendor, but also music. We have a really unique melting pot that's going on right here in this area.
Yeah, I think, I'm a transplant here to Alton. I have no connections here. And one of the first things I was taken by was just this sort of underlying current of, creative culture and art and music. And I was just so, enamored by it. And, there's just something about being by the river, that just kind of breeds creativity. And so there's, struggles that come with that. And that's kind of one of my intents is to build infrastructure so that people can make a living doing their art. And that's, easier said than done. But I think it takes a group of people, and I'm so honored that Vincent and Erica, saw this and not just in Alton, but of course in the whole region of like saying, okay, well, we're gonna do our best to start building the infrastructure. With our record label, it sounds a lot cooler than it is, but we're figuring it out, know.
And Vince, what do you have on to add on to that? Because I didn't want to cut you off as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're here near Chicago, and Chicago has a vast amount of studios, and the music here in the city of Chicago is, there's a lot of live venues and a lot of music being played all the time. But I thought, Eric and I were looking for something a little different, and I think for us, the city of Chicago is missing something that what Nick is doing, and that's more of a community instead of a competition. And I think that is really what's most important when it comes to music, because without people, you can have the best song in the world or the best musicians in the world, but without a big, good group of great, good quality people bringing it together, you don't really have anything. And that's what you guys have in Alton.
Let's touch on that too. Going back, Nick, let's follow up with you in studio, community over competition, because, it seems like, especially, just tying in MRF again, all those guys just played together because they liked playing together. It's like, hey, let's just go hang out and put a shoot and let's just go see what we come up with.
Totally.
And, is that kind of how the atmosphere is starting to be here a little bit more? Because even going to like the conservatory a couple of times that I've gone is seeing bands just kind of jumping up on stage, or just anyone coming up on stage and kind of jamming together and all of that. How important is community over one individual band or one individual personally success?
I think it's massive, and fortunately there's a ton of incredible people here in Alton and beyond. And I think one of the sort of intangibles that is, in my opinion, the most valuable, whether you're friends with Habor or not or what, it's just like I know people who care about this stuff, who take it very seriously, who are super professional, and like it's a very easy on-ramp for conversation. It's a very easy, hey, I've got this resource. And I hate to call people resources because that's not what they are, but it's easy to connect connection points. For example, Little Victory needed a logo. Well, I knew a guy who did their logo, and this gentleman's from Brazil. And it's like, how did that connection come about? It was the music scene sharing resources, sharing ideas, and then promoting each other.
Well, and let's follow up with that too, because it's one thing to know some, like you just said, well, yeah, I know someone that does a logo. Well, I do too, but my guy that does the logo is not familiar with bands, music, or any type of those things. So to have your own community within that, truly designed for the industry, is truly unheard of for local, for especially aspiring young artists that are coming up, to have truly a step up and a jump when they're talking to you or, Vince or anybody that really believes in that atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I just really get excited about this stuff.
It is, and then I came from Nashville for a while, and for as big of a city as that is, the music community is tiny in one sense, like where it's you're one step away from just about anybody. Like it's a very close knit group. Obviously there's a high volume of that, and so now, working with Vince and Erica up in Chicago, there's I play in Matt Jordan's band, and they got to meet and connect and just share, hey, here's what I've learned about booking, or here's what I've learned about this. And if you really take the time to cultivate that, I think I kind of knew this was going to happen, but I'm just happy that people are so willing to share their knowledge, to share their resources, to share their wisdom, as we kind of navigate. How the heck do you play music and make money and support yourself doing your art in 2024 and beyond? Yeah.
Well, and I want to follow up on that too, because you have some really good stuff on your Facebook page that I've been paying attention to. And Vince, before we do that, I want to come back to you and talk Asleep at the Wheel, because I've done that a time or two. Oh, wait, no, I can't say that. Sorry, I read the long. I've never done that, and no one should. Vince, take me through how this came together, Asleep at the Wheel. Was this something that you've had in your mind for a while, or how did this come together?
Kind of like everything that Little Victory does, it really happens naturally. We don't really force the writing of any of our music, but the guitar riff for Asleep at the Wheel kind of happened out of an accident. I was just playing around on Instagram and posting videos of myself playing riffs and stuff, and just trying to build the audience of like music. And Erica heard that riff and was like, "Hey, we should turn that into a song." And I'm like, "Okay, well, she wrote some lyrics." And realistically, at the end of the recording, we had no idea what the song was about. And then all of a sudden, we started getting write-ups from people on what their take it, and it really meant a lot to people. Like, falling asleep at the wheel to your life, not paying attention to what's around you. And that's really what the song is about. I think it's a really heavy rock and roll song, but I think the meaning behind it means more than just the awesome guitar riff.
With that too, Vince, is that something that you're passionate about? Is it the message more than the sound? Because sometimes, it's hard for me personally as a non-music guy to hear the message in some of these really high intensity, high velocity pieces, other than, like if it's country music, we pretty much can hear that, right away. Not making fun of anybody, but for you, do you like the sound more than you like the message? Are you a message guy?
Well, I mean, I think the power is in the vocalist and the song always. And I'm sure Nick could agree with this. This is one of the things we agreed with. I think the voice and the lyrics are what is going to really resonate with people more than a really fancy guitar lick. Obviously, I'm a geek for great tone in guitar and the way things sound. But the fact of the matter is, today, unfortunately, most people listening to music are listening to it on their phone. The sound really doesn't matter to most people. It's just this resonates with me. So I think for Little Victory, we like to focus on the lyrics and the song, and then maybe the intricate guitar work and stuff comes a little later. So.
And Nick, did you want to follow up with that on any of your interpretations or feedback from that piece?
Yeah, sure. So, one of the things that I'm very passionate about, and so is Little Victory, is I just love music from the late 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
That's home for me. Mm-hmm. And I think one of my favorite producers, Dave Cobb, says that vinyl doesn't sound better, but people think vinyl sounds better because it sounds like humanity. And the songs that were coming out of that time, like you listen to a Led Zeppelin song and like Jimmy Page is out of tune, but it's cool because it was like a stamped moment in time. It was a real statement. And so, it's a two-sided coin, right? Where like now everyone has the ability to make music on a laptop, which is cool. And like I love that. I don't want to downplay that, but there is something about people who want to remain as true to honor that passion that was coming out of music in that time, and take their own interpretation of it. When we
like Corey Feldman. Sorry, bro. I had to get my Feldman shot out.
Yes. No, man, but I've also been so inspired by analog recording, and I'm not quite there yet with my gear setup, but that's where we're headed. And I know, like, we want to, like, I want Erica and Vince to be able to play this song live without backing tracks, and that's a big thing with bands right now is they'll play with backing tracks that supplement their sound. And I'm not anti backing tracks by any means, but everything we did with this song was as real as can get. The musicians played live in a room together. Erica sang. That's her vocal take. That's not auto-tune. That's Erica singing. And that there's an honesty to that you don't always get in music nowadays.
A funny story about the session, that really resonates with me. I'm a super perfectionist, OCD. Like, it's got to be, I got to do this take over and over. And what was really great working with Nick was, there's a guitar solo at the end, and he was just like, "All right, get your tones and let's just set it up." And I played the solo, and he said, "Stop," and I'm like, "No, I got to do it again. I got to do this solo again." And I'm like, he's like, "No, that's the solo. That's the solo. It's a stamp in time. That's it." And now to this day, when I listen back, I'm like, really, there couldn't have been, I think, a better take than that one. And it was just that fresh take.
And honestly, how important is it to have that feedback too? Because it's one thing to have a village that goes, "Oh yeah, man, you're right. Go ahead and hit that 400 more times. I'll see you at 3 a.m. and we'll get out of here." After the 70th time we did that solo. How important is it just to have open and kind of just that honest dialogue that says, "You know what? I think we're good where we're at," and honestly appreciate but understand that that's what we need to do.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's why we hired, we're working with
Yeah.
Fano. I mean, realistically, it's just he's a
Wow.
match made in heaven for us, and we think we're going to produce and make some really great music with him. So.
I want to ask you guys going forward in the future, how important is it to expand the geography of your footprint? Because even though your Chicago lands a couple hours away, in reality, that ain't that far away at all. And we could do more of this type of connection and bringing folks into this neck of the woods and then sending folks maybe up that way for gigs towards you guys and kind of making this really cool community. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, you kind of cut out a little bit, and I can you repeat that?
Yeah, so just we're talking about just some of the atmospheres here and just going forward. Is there an opportunity, do you think, to kind of cross blend Chicagoland where you guys are in Alton and maybe start doing some interchange and expanding, what Nick's done down here and just making this a little bit bigger family?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's up to the artist, though. I think it's up to someone
Good
that really
point.
wants to share resources, because that's a big problem, I think, in art, is that people try to stay hidden in their own space all the time. And realistically, like Nick said, we're all working towards the same thing. And if one of us get one little chance, we're bringing everyone with us. And that's just how it's going to work.
Well, and Nick, what's your thoughts on that too, man? Because that's what you're doing is something special, and it's with everything you do. And it's not just with music and bands and Little Victory and all this. It's with MRF and with the recording studio. I've seen on your Facebook page time and time again, if you listen to the Allman Brothers, if you grew up, listening to Hank Williams Jr. or whoever, come out and record a song with me. What do you mean by that? Do you think that there's music in everybody? I mean, I'm not trying to go too. I mean, I don't want to go sound like too deep or philosophical here, but it's really unique how your message is and what your mission is.
I think one of my gifts or purpose in life is to, and I don't mean to sound like an egotistical prick. That's not what I'm trying to say.
That's my job.
But I just want to provide on-ramps for people. And it's kind of like that Field of Dreams quote, like, if you build it, they will come. And I think that's why, of course, we're talking about Little Victory here today, but within our kind of immediate community, I'd say, Feel is a great example of that. We've been working, whether in direct partnership or from a distance with those, I was in Feel back in 2019. And so I've just seen the power of like-minded people getting together for commonality and for mission and intent. And so I think, like I said, if you build it, they will come. And so I think when you get like-minded people together, really, really special things happen. And so, and that comes in all facets. And that's what I love about music is there's so many different branches of it. I mean, from the photography and video side, like, that's cool that you get to do music video. From the branding, marketing, and promotion, that's a whole nother thing. And then, of course, my favorite part is being in the studio and creating the music. And it's an attitude,
Well, and you know what I think's really cool is just that music has gotten to the point too where branding's a whole lot different.
Yeah.
To me, I would have never thought branding could have been what the hell is going to be behind you when you're playing on stage.
Yeah.
What's that feel going to be? What's that atmosphere? And speaking of atmosphere and going back to Little Victory and Vince, what was that atmosphere like in studio? Did you guys know that you had something? Because I always like those stories where it's like, Steven Tyler with the Tic Tacs, and he's making Sweet Emotion or whatever, But did you guys think that, we have something good here? And Vince, I'll start with you on this, and then we'll come over and talk to Nick.
Yeah, I mean, to Habor, we had no plans whatsoever. We just went out to meet Nick, and we went out to dinner. We enjoyed some meals. We had a couple drinks. We talked about life, and I just remember sitting in his studio going, this would be a really great place to make a record and create our music. It just felt right, very homey and just comfy, and especially when Nick gives you a nice big hug at the end of the day. But anyway, and then when on our ride home, Eric and I were like, man, this kind of just fell in our lap. We should follow the sign. We should trust in God and really pursue this. And we were really praying about this for a while. Like, man, we need to find something. We're not getting it where we're at. And all of a sudden, Nick just dropped us a direct message in Instagram. We're like, okay, well, this is our guy. And next thing you know, we planned a studio session, and I mean, it went by way too fast. It was so much fun. We were up till what, 3:34 in the morning finishing a song, and the whole day just felt like a vacation. And that's what you want when you're making a record. So
There you go. And you know, Nick, when you're bringing folks in, what was the first restaurant you took them? I got to ask. I'm nosy.
I think the first time we went to Post Commons and got coffee initially, and then I think they've been to Johnson's Corner,
Good call.
Sammy's,
Good call.
Old Bakery, of course, as well too. So they're making the Alton rounds, but the studio in particular, just narrowing in on that, is a very interesting place. And my role as a producer, as much as it is to guide the music or to help with that, it's also to be like a bit of a, I'm trying to think of the right word, but a bit of a psychologist in a way.
Yeah.
Where if Erica and Vince feel great inside the space, that's where we're going to find the best performances. And so that comes down to like things that may seem kind of trivial, but like how comfortable the studio feels. Like, is this a place you can kick your shoes off? Because artists, as you may know yourself or can assume, we're very vulnerable. Like, we're very emotionally driven.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then even more so when you're putting a song that you have written, that you've poured yourself into, and it's like, okay, we're gonna put it under the red light and put it onto tape, or in this case onto a hard drive. You know, that's a real moment in time. And you know, half the battle is just being in a good headspace. And so I will never make a record with someone without sitting down and having coffee with them first, because if you're gonna have me producing your record, I don't want to just jump into like critiquing you or whatever. I want them to know, like, hey, I care about your sound,
right.
I care about what you're doing, and I want you to, have a real moment. And with Erica and Vince, it was just super easy because I get along with them great. We just love the same things, and
right.
I love them. But anytime you work together for the first time with somebody, there's always a risk involved with that, because like they just drove 4 hours to come record with me. They're spending money and like doing all those things. And I'm also like, trying to be a good host or whatnot. But man, when you get that, like, and not all recording sessions are great. Luckily ours was, but when you get that kind of beautiful wave of like nervousness and creative tension and like cool vibe, and like when the musicians are gelling, it's magic. It really is. And the thing about it is, like, if I could bottle it up and sell it, I totally would. But the thing about it is you can't manufacture that. It doesn't come from like, a process. It comes from, just general excitement about what you're doing and general attitude and intent that we're taking into this recording. And that Asleep at the Wheel session, we actually recorded 2 songs that session. That one that they'll probably talk about, hopefully.
Yep, I'm getting ready to plug here.
It's coming later, but it was amazing. Like, it wasn't stressful at all. Though we had like hang-ups and things we could have done better and things like that. It was just like I felt like I was 14 making music in my garage again, and that's
awesome.
I'm just chasing that feeling now at 30,
Well, but the thing is, though, you can't do things in life unless you're happy. And I've always been that person. You can fake it as much as you want, but if you're miserable and you're not having a good old time, you aren't going to be successful doing this.
Absolutely.
Well, and I got to ask you about this, and this might be a little too, philosophical or too artsy for some folks at home, but does being an Alton help that process of creating that space? Because I don't think I would feel comfortable going into like downtown St. Louis to record an album. I would feel more comfortable going to the little river town, having a bite to eat, drinking a beer, and then going back and recording. Yeah,
for me it definitely does, and I'll obviously Vince can speak for himself, but Alton feels like a safe haven to me, and I think perhaps bands experience that as well. They come to this town. It's really unlike anything people have seen before, because you have this beautiful combination of new and old, and the timelessness of the river. And so Alton has just always felt like a haven, and you're getting artsy. I'm about to get artsy as well. There's a reason why we called our studio, our record label, Habor. Habor is a place. It's the metaphor where ships, vessels come in to rest, to repair, to refuel, recharge, create, build, do whatever. But there's the implied metaphor that they're going to go back out to sea or to venture or to journey. And so with like the studio, for example, the studio really has become home for a lot of people. And I've got people who aren't musicians at all who will just come and hang out because they pick up on a sense of that. And so I think, one, that speaks to the greater spirit within Alton of a place to foster art and community. But then I think it's also like just the sort of natural culmination of people, who make up the space. So yeah, and I'm with you. If I I love your setup here, but fluorescent lights drive me crazy, and I'm sure they drive you crazy.
Me
And
too.
it's like, I don't know if I could write a song here, but if you're intentional about space and about convergent space where people can meet, talk, converse, things just tend to happen there.
Oh, absolutely.
Can't really put a finger on those types of things, but it's part of the human ethos, right? We enjoy those spaces,
Well, and Vince, let me ask you: do you like the Kmart? Do you like?
I didn't mean to criticize you on your own show, CJ.
It's all good. It's all good. I don't like him either.
You look great under him, though, buddy.
No, I don't. I told John we're moving out of the studio.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
a teaser. Hey, Vince, I'm a little shell shocked here. Vince, save me. No, but seriously, what's it like being in Alton? Does it help being in this type of town? Because like I was telling Nick, I couldn't go to Chicago and record a song. I couldn't go into St. Louis and feel comfortable there. Does that have anything to do with your process and how you feel?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you'll talk to a lot of musicians, and different songs when you're writing music, you got to get different environments. The environments obviously help, but I think most importantly, if we came to Alton and it wasn't Nick and it was someone else that we didn't vibe with, maybe we would think of the town a little differently. So, I think it's truly the people that you surround yourself with. I feel like you can have a great time with anyone in any location if you're at the right people. And I think that's what creates a great town, great leadership, good vibe, all that stuff. The people really create what the town is all about.
Absolutely. And Vince, it's been really great talking to you, and Nick, always great talking to you. I wanted to ask you real quick, Vince, we have a couple of minutes left. I've been going way too long on this. My apologies. Just love talking to both of you. Hummingbird will be released in August. Is it out yet? No? When's it coming out?
No, not yet. It'll be coming out the end of August.
Do we have a date on that yet?
No, we're still kind of going on that a bit.
Probably the 30th.
Oh, the 30th. That'd be really exciting.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, what's Hummingbird about? Can you tease us?
I can't say too much yet, but it's definitely a different direction than Asleep at the Wheel. And I don't want to speak for Erica, but it's a song about I don't want to speak for my wife, so I would rather her explain that.
Ooh, that's a smart one. That's a smart call, Vince. Yeah, I'm telling you what, you're learning. You know what? That's probably the best advice that's ever been given on this show. I listen to my wife, so I'm not going to. So, can Nick, is there any way we can tease this, or is it just, let's just give them the RiverBender.com website and wait for that release to come out?
Yeah, RiverBender.com. And
I tell you what, too, if anyone's free on Saturday, Little Victory's actually coming down to play a show.
I just saw Old Herald.
At Old Herald. It's with our friends in Telestar as well. Show starts at 6 o'clock, and Little Victory will be rocking all night. And that's a great venue down there. They're starting to put on original music there, which is awesome. Old Herald's a great space to see music, great food, great spirits and wine. And then for anyone who has a heart for live music, a heart to support music in this capacity, I really encourage you to come out to the show, and you'll get to hear Hummingbird.
There you go, Vince. Been really great talking to you, man, and always great talking to you, Nick. With that being said, Vince, is there anything left we need to fill our audience in on and let you get back to... by the way, I love the Atlas poster. I'm looking at that still. That is incredible, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm at my day job today, so I did turn the fluorescent lights off though, just so you know. So.
Is there anything else you wanted to fill us in on this morning?
Oh no, I just appreciate you for having us on. We're really excited about working in Alton and with Nick. And please come see us at Old Herald. You will not be disappointed. Full band, rock and show, and yeah, follow us on Instagram at Little Victory Music, Facebook, all that stuff.
Really cool, Vince. And Nick, before we let you go, anything left for the audience today?
No, I just echo what Vince says. A lot more to come from the Little Victory Camp, which is great, and hopefully we'll have a lot more stuff from the Habor front as well as Mississippi River Festival and things like that. So I'm just really excited about music, and I just have an invigoration for it that I haven't had in a long time, and Little Victory is a big catalyst for that. And so I'm just honored to work with them and honored that I get to share our town with them. And I'm just excited to see where we can take this thing on all fronts.
Absolutely. The next time you guys are back in studio, we are going to be in a different one without the fluorescent lights. I promise you. 9:48, a little bit of change. Yes. We'll take a little bit of a pause here, but we'll come back with a little bit more in the 9 o'clock hour. Then we'll do top of the hour news, all the fun stuff on a Tuesday morning. You stay there. I'll stay here on RiverBender.com and Roku. Get over here, TV.